Hey, I'm Todd. Thanks for choosing to watch my video, and if you would subscribe it, like it, all that stuff, that'd be great. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and I hope it gives you the information you need and is helpful to you. Take care. Oh, it's a 2012 Chevrolet or GMC Yukon. Rear brake pad replacement, rear brake caliper replacement, rear brake rotor replacement. Doing a brake job here, so we'll take all the lug nuts off. Everything is left to loosen, right to tighten. That is counterclockwise to loosen and clockwise to tighten. And then you'll see this when you take the tire off. They had aftermarket rims on there. So we got 2 bolts for the caliper, one up here and one down below. The caliper bracket has 2 bolts, again one above and one below, so that's a total of 4 bolts. I'll have a brake hose here. Probably I'm using 11 millimeter usually to break those loose, and a bleeder 10 or 11 millimeter on those. But as I often say, sizes don't matter as much in this, because you might be dealing with an aftermarket caliper or something, or someone's replaced a bolt, and so they might change, but it's all the same. Take 2 bolts off here. Usually you take the caliper off, 2 bolts off, take the bracket off, and then this should slide off. If it doesn't, probably 10 by 1.25 bolts you can put in here. Screw them in, it'll force the rotor off. Or you can tap it with a hammer on the side, usually loosen it up, or tap it around here and it'll loosen up. So that's the overview, I believe, here. Started. There's my hammer. My air gun's around here somewhere. Ratchet, pliers, because I need to use. I've been holding the copper washer for the brake hose to get that out, because they've been stuck on. 18 millimeter wrench, probably a 13 millimeter, 18 millimeter socket here. And again, these sizes on here might be different than what's on there. So since we're replacing the caliper, I'm just going to take these 2 bolts out, take this off as an assembly, and maybe break this loose before we take it off, just to make it easier to come off. We have our new rotor ready to go on. This is a coated rotor. For those in the salt rust belt, it might be a good idea to invest in a little bit more money maybe for a coated rotor, or drum, as the case may be. If you're doing other types of brakes, get something coated, help protect from rust issues in those areas. I'm going to be going from the other side, working with my impact gun to get the top bolt out. The bottom bolt is too tight of an angle for me, so I'll probably be using a breaker bar. I will tell you that if they haven't come off in a while, or it's a pretty new truck, who knows for you if someone used Loctite, but these for me have been coming out pretty tight. There's a yellow Loctite on there, so you might have to fight it a little bit. So here's my tools: breaker bar, swivel, 18 millimeter socket for my gun. I got a couple of different setups here, but there we are. Most of my tools. And over here, socket set. So I broke the bolts all loose on both sides with my big breaker bar, and so I can hopefully use my ratchet with my 18 millimeter and take all the bolts out I need for the calipers. So here's our emergency brake shoes. They look to be in decent shape. Maybe just use a little brake clean it up. Kind of up to you. Axle seal's not gushing any fluid, so we'll just clean that up, and then we can already get our new rotor, just slide it right back on. Alright, as we talked about, we got our emergency brakes. Here's actually a little adjuster if you want to adjust it. Personally, if it was mine, I may not mess with it too much. Maybe 2 or 3 clicks. It's pretty stiff, so maybe get a screwdriver in there, turn it a little bit. That's going in. That's about 4 clicks. We'll try that. Of course, you don't really want it dragging because it's an emergency brake and not your brakes. So, but. And again, I'd probably leave it just because I don't want you to be adjusting it and then finding out it's too tight and smoking stuff, and then you have issues and get mad at me. Don't really hear any dragging, I don't think, so we're probably going to be good with this. Drop our new caliper on there once we put the brake shoes in, pads. Here's a caliper, got out of the box. It came with hardware. Yours might not. Got some in a bag, but as you see, it's already in here. So I had difficulty sticking my brake pads in here, just as this is. And so it's a little easier, and I maybe recommend that you do it too. We'll take out this bolt, the lower bolt, farthest away from the bleeder. Take the lower bolt out, and then we'll take this apart in 2 pieces, and it'll be easier to put our brake pads back in. They've got some Loctite on this, a little ridiculous. I used an impact gun to get this last one off for the other side, which I've already done. I'm going to actually just take this over and mount it, and then I think it's easier to slide the brake pads on when it's all mounted. You see the yellow Loctite something, so we'll take maybe a wire brush, a wire wheel to this and clean this up a little bit. Put some blue Loctite or something if you want on there, but I think the torque, I'm sure it's over 100 foot-pounds, is probably going to be good. Put them on tight, they probably won't fall off. And these are just friction fits. They just pull off and push on with friction, nothing fancy about them. So just do them one at a time, take your time, should be fine. We're just gonna fit this in here, squealer up on the inside. There we go. A little pushing on here. Drop our new caliper on. This caliper comes with a couple new washers. You should always get new washers, maybe not a bolt, which would be nice. But at least got a couple new copper gaskets, couple copper washers for replacing the old ones and putting the line on the new caliper.
Hey Todd.
Yeah.
Just so you know,
Most things.
I just want to let you know what
Thank you.
was on it. The other stuff I have scheduled for you is a priority because that kind of popped up out of nowhere.
Sure.
It was all fine until Taylor.
So it's on there pretty good. Oh, I can just turn it off maybe. Hold the nope. Make sure your master cylinder is full, which we'll get to probably later in the video. So you can have fluid dripping out and not worrying about running out of fluid in the master cylinder. Yeah.
And I pulled it off, didn't see any brake fluid in there or anything that would be worrisome. So I put it back together, went to drive it, and I got this rock hard braking all the time. I could hear it hissing there. So, so who knows?
Well, that's good that you got it fixed up.
So I'll drive it through. It's under clunky anyways.
It's gonna work to get the stupid thing off.
Or I'm going to tell you for the do-it-yourselfers, you could just maybe leave this so well alone. If it comes off like this, just leave it. And then when you put it back together, put it all on and torque it down and check for leaks. If you don't have any leaks, that's great. If you do, you can snug it up just a little bit more maybe, but don't go through this hassle. Maybe on your own car if you're doing it yourself, but you don't want to damage the threads on this bolt. This is more of a pain in the butt, right? Got a bleeder screw here. We'll open it up on both sides or fluid's full. We'll open it up, we'll look for some fluid and some bubbles to come out. We want to get rid of the air / the bubbles, so we have only straight fluid coming out. We'll open up both sides and maybe let gravity do its work. We'll top off the master cylinder. Maybe leave the cover off. Helps with the air pressure. Maybe pushing down, atmospheric pressure pushing down, getting the fluid out. So we'll just keep an eye on that till we get fluid running out. All right, we got fluid dripping out. So we'll go ahead and snug up both sides, and then we'll. I like to step on the brakes a few times myself, and then open them up again. Usually builds up a little pressure and causes more air to come out. Then I'll probably have someone help me with pushing on the brake pedal while I open up and close these bleeders to get the rest of the air out. It was 10 millimeter. Boom, we're jumping to the master cylinder. Has a maximum and minimum line on it here, right up to the top. So we'll just make sure it's above the minimum. Let's see here, cap. Top 3 brake fluid. Just like that, on and off. So we'll have someone get inside the vehicle, pump the brakes a few times, and then they can hold the brake pedal down, and we can open up the bleeder, let air and fluid come out as needed until we get a nice straight stream of fluid. That's the basic idea. Yep. We got someone climbing in. They're going to step on the brakes 3 or 4 times, and they'll hold it down, and I'm going to open this up for some fluid flow. All right. Just stream of flow.
Did you guys talk about ETA next week? All one parts already.
Pump it.
We want to get it done next week. I got to put it on the schedule now. So
Look pretty good there.
week away, so possibly it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday before we see.
Pump it.
So I'll put it on the schedule for next Thursday. Okay.
And then we'll see if it's available.
Got nice solid fluid, so we're going to call this done. Tighten it up, put a cap on it. Do the same for the other side. Top off our brake fluid. Alright, for the caliper, it's 28 foot-pounds for the 2 bolts here. 30 foot-pounds for this bolt here. Caliper mounting bracket adapter here is 122 foot-pounds. 106 inch-pounds for the bleeder screw. 140 foot-pounds for the lug nuts. Tighten them up in a crisscross pattern. Probably as tight as you can get them when it's jacked up. Of course, you've got your vehicle jacked up off the ground using safety stands. So you can tighten it up as tight as you can and put it down and tighten them up the rest of the way. Pump the brake pedal a few times. Top off your brake fluid as needed, or take some out, and you should be good to go on rear brake pad, rotor, rear brake caliper replacement on your GMC Yukon, Chevrolet pickup trucks. If this setup looks like what is on your vehicle, I'm sure this will work for you.